You've possibly seen Dr. Marty Makary on TV or read one of his newspaper articles. He makes the case that many experts have been wrong and why it's time for all of us to get back to normal life.
Now the pandemic is really over.
This from one of the medical field's most respected voices, Dr. Marty Makary, professor at Johns Hopkins School of Public Health.
The number of daily cases of COVID are 1/50th the number of daily cases of flu in the middle of a mild flu season.
Dr. Makary talks about it all in his book, The Price We Pay, What Broke American Healthcare and How to Fix It. He says there's a lot the medical establishment and those like Dr. Anthony Fauci got wrong.
And one important thing as a leader in the medical field or anywhere is humility. We didn't see that. He got so many things wrong, and we all make mistakes, but the principal job of that position is to warn us of a pandemic and tell us how to manage it. We didn't get the warnings, and then once it happened, I wrote the first article calling for universal masking in the New York Times. Why didn't we hear that from our medical leadership? That was something where I think it would be helpful for him to say, I got it wrong.
He says medical experts also got it wrong with natural immunity and highlights why in his latest Wall Street Journal op-ed.
It's one of the biggest failures of our medical establishment to dismiss natural immunity. It's about half the country. And if you have it, it turns out the data has come out even this week with 2 big studies showing that it works, it's durable, you may not need the vaccine, and it's probably long-lasting. It's probably lifelong. So when you dismiss natural immunity, you see only 63% of adults in America are vaccinated. The road to get to 85% is a dire situation. It requires mandates and kids getting vaccinated and demonizing those who are hesitant. But recognizing that half of the unvaccinated have natural immunity, it explains why we're at herd immunities now and cases are plummeting.
On the China lab leak theory,
there are a lot of data points here that suggest the story is very plausible.
Dr. Makary was one of few to give it any credence last spring.
If you think about the consequences here, this is the largest liability or malpractice case in the history of the world. So people have a right to get more answers, and we're not going to get it from a full investigation. Be careful when you hear politicians posturing for a full investigation. We have all the data we're going to get right now, and the conclusion is very obvious.
Another obvious conclusion, he says, it's time to put this all behind us.
We need to move on. We need to reestablish a human connection. We've got to address the effects of profound loneliness and rebuild communities.
And to that point, Dr. Makary says he's also against calls to oust Dr. Fauci. He says we shouldn't be going after individuals like that, but instead moving forward. In Washington, Jenna Browder, CBN News.